Why is it that some women or men stay in abusive relationships and others run a mile? Well, that's because we get in life what we think we're worth. So if we think we're unlovable, we find partners who treat us that way. And if that person is as needy and as insecure as we are, then we can make it our mission to rescue them. And by doing that, and we're focusing on saving them and fixing them, we can actually hide the fact that we are the ones who need fixing and saving. And we can avoid facing our inner demons and fears instead. But two people who are needy emotionally are never going to be able to fulfill each other's needs. The emotional baggage matches, but it is never going to be a healthy relationship. So I had to go back and look at, where was it? Why is it that I felt unlovable? Where did it come from? And it does come from your childhood. So think back to your childhood and think about when you felt really free and secure and happy and confident. And I look back and I see a little girl who's just giggling and loved to dance and loved to laugh and was really confident and just had fun. And then I see the child that started to lose her way. And you need to do this as well. And for me, I've got overriding happy memories of my childhood. I had a very nice time. I had no history of abuse. There was no violence, but it was subtle. And my mother was quite a controlling type. And if I had any emotions or feelings about the way she would behave, she would tell me I was too sensitive, or that I was wrong and I was too young for her to explain why. And then she'd shut me down and that would be the end of the conversation. And she dominated my father quite a lot. And so he just withdrew and was unavailable emotionally to me as well. So my needs weren't really met emotionally. And I started to mistrust my gut instincts because she was my mother. So if she said I was wrong to feel that way, I had to believe her. And so I just started to not trust my feelings, and my feelings and emotions depended on that of others. Because if I then suppressed it all and became the very good little girl that didn't argue back with her or didn't question her, then I gained approval. And so I lost my way. And I look back at that little girl, and when I first saw her, and she was frightened to feel emotions. She was frightened of abandonment. She needed approval. She needed love. I remember crying and crying when I saw her for the first time, when I left this abusive relationship and I faced myself for the first time. And then I felt really angry on her behalf. How could he have abused her? How could he have almost killed her, my ex? How could he have almost killed me? And how could my parents have, when they knew that abuse was happening, not stood up and protected me? And I felt very betrayed and very angry for a long time. But then I learnt that, they were just doing the best that they could at the time. And their behaviour was impacted by the way their parents brought them up. And I just had to let all that go in the end and forgive. And what I needed to do instead was I needed to hug my inner child. I needed to nurture her. And I needed to fulfill those emotional needs that weren't met when I was young. And I did that I had to fill that inner void of shame that I was not good enough. And I did that by just starting to do one nice thing for myself every day. And little by little, going to a support group, surrounding myself with people who could validate me, little by little, I got that self-esteem back, and I learnt to really love and appreciate her, that inner child, and realize that there was a lot of good things about me. I was lovable. I do deserve better in my life. And once I started to do that, then I was able to start to set healthier boundaries and say no to anybody who treated me badly or disrespectfully. I could say no to abuse. And once I started to do that, those people who were more likely to treat me badly started to veer away from me. And the healthy ones started to come into my orbit. But I no longer feared abandonment, and I no longer felt I was not good enough. So I then attracted, once if you get in life what you think you're worth, once I had high self-esteem, I only then attracted somebody who treated me as worthy. And I did. And this is the man I'm married to now. And when I first started going out with him, I was able to also think, well, if the relationship ended tomorrow, that's fine. I've had a wonderful time. And I'll be okay, because my happiness doesn't depend on him. I can meet all my own emotional needs without another partner. So whether I'm with him or not, I am still good enough. I was always good enough. And that was the point that I was able to then have a healthy relationship. My happiness didn't depend on him. I didn't need him to fulfill my emotional needs. I knew I was good enough already, and therefore I was good enough for a healthy relationship. And so it came to be, and we've been together 30 years, and it's a whole different way of engaging with somebody and forging a deep connection with somebody. Once you can fulfill your own needs, once you've got a high level of self-esteem, you don't fear abandonment, you don't fear you're unworthy, and you're able to reveal vulnerability and therefore take your relationship to a whole new level of trust and a deep connection you never thought was ever going to be possible. So start by just giving that frightened little inner child of yours the biggest hug you can give them, and then nurture them and build their self-esteem so that they know and you know you are lovable, you are good enough, you were always good enough.